I'm standing on the summit of Mont Blanc. At 4,800 meters, it's the highest I've ever been, but also one of the lowest moments of my life. It's day 27 of my Alpine coast-to-coast expedition. Over the previous 26 days, I've cycled my bike from the coast of Italy, through Slovenia, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and now I'm standing on the summit of the highest mountain in France. While cycling through those countries, I climbed the highest mountain in every one of them. But it's not over yet. To complete my expedition, I have to get safely off the summit, cycle through the French and Italian Alps, climb the highest mountain in Italy, and cycle down to the coast of Monaco, where my expedition will be complete. Standing on the summit, I feel completely and utterly broken. It's -15, the storm clouds are rolling in. I'm ill, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I feel devoid of whatever I need to get me off the summit, let alone to the finish in Monaco. But I have one thing, and this thing to me is the most powerful force in my life, and it is belief. Over the 32 days it took me to complete this expedition, I repeated this to myself over and over like a mantra. Every time that voice inside got too strong, that negativity, that fear, that self-doubt, that critic that said, "You can't do this, you haven't got what it takes, you should stop now," I'd fight back at it with the voice that said, "Yes, you can," with this positive attitude and the belief that I could. And I did it. I got to the end of my expedition. I completed a world first by cycling the Alps and climbing their highest mountains. Now, TEDx had me billed as this extreme adventurer, but it wasn't always this way. As a teenager at university, I lived a life of excess. I wasn't healthy, I wasn't living my potential, and worse than that, I wasn't doing anything to find out what it was. Now, I truly believe that if I can go from this directionless party girl to achieving my extraordinary, achieving a world first and climbing these summits, then each and every one of you can go on your own comparable journey to define and achieve your extraordinary. Today, I'd like to share with you the 3 key learnings that have been instrumental in me finding mine. Until the age of 27, I lived a fairly normal life. I graduated from university, I moved down to London, I took a job in a London technology startup. It was doing sales. And I was ambitious, so I set my sights high and I worked hard. I was 27 and I'd made it clear to my boss that I'd love to be on the board of directors by the age of 30. I was in a young entrepreneurial environment, and that's something that I thought was possible. One day, he calls me into a meeting, and he delivers this news. "Sophie, there is no position for you on our board." I was utterly heartbroken. I spent 7 years working for him in the hope that one day he might see that potential in me that I believed I had and help me create an opportunity to progress. But he put a big fat cross over the path that I thought I was heading down. And this forced me to reassess. For the first time, I started to think what it was that I truly wanted to do. I thought, what's the point in me working for someone else to achieve their goals and their dreams if along the way I'm not happy and I'm not able to achieve mine? Is there a way that I can create something that has meaning, something that has a lasting impact in this world? And I looked to what it was that actually made me happy. 5 years prior, when I just graduated from university and started working for him, I'd taken on my first challenge, an adventure race in the jungle of Borneo. What I learned in the jungle changed the course of my life forever. I learned that we can set ourselves the biggest goal that we can imagine, and no one will stand in the way of us completing that. Contrary to what I was experiencing in the workplace, This was something that I was feeling was so powerful, and I was only just beginning to realize that the only limitations to what I could achieve existed in my mind. It was at this point that I realized I was tethered to a rope. Now, this rope for me was twofold. Firstly, it was physical. It was the world that I existed in every single day. I looked up to the people around me who I thought were successful, and I thought, well, maybe if I aim for what they've got, then when I get there, or if I get there, then I'll be successful and that will make me happy, and isn't that what I'm supposed to do? The second way that I was tethered to this rope was in my mind. I hadn't even dared to look outside and think, what could I do if I wasn't on this path that I'd just fallen into? What could I do if I dared to create a path that was truly mine? So for the first time in my life, I dared myself to think about that and imagine what that could look like. I realized that if I wanted to achieve something extraordinary, and I believed that I could, that I needed to cut that rope and set myself free and explore what could be beyond it. The night before I quit my job, I read this quote: "A ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what the ship was built for. Go sailing." And this gave me the courage to take that leap and set my ship free into the deep waters. Now, I realized I was lucky. I was 27 years old. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have a mortgage. I had nothing holding me back apart from the fear of what lay beyond. But I felt like I had the courage to face it. So I cut my rope. And there I am, out in the world. I've got the whole of my life ahead of me. I should be feeling excited. And a part of me was. And I looked around and I thought, okay, well, now I clearly have no path. Where am I going to go? Surely there's some kind of map that might be able to help me figure this out. And here was my second lesson. There is no map. We have to create our own map. I found this utterly petrifying. So I turned to the world for inspiration, and everywhere I looked, I found it. And this left me in more of a state. I felt like everyone had it figured out. Everyone knew what they were doing. And there was me, at the other end of the spectrum, with no leads, no momentum, no ideas, an ever-dwindling hole in my savings account, and nothing that I was used to making me feel safe and secure. And what I learned in that moment, I come back to again and again. There's nothing that differentiates us from anyone that we aspire to be like, apart from the fact that they took the steps and went out to make it happen. They started creating their map. So I started creating mine. And I started with a blank piece of paper, some coloring pens, and I started writing my blog. I thought, maybe if I write about what I'm going through, then this will help me process it, and it might offer some kind of help for people who might be embarking on a similar journey. And that was my first step. And my first step led to my second step, which led to my third, which led to my fourth. And it was only when I was a couple of steps in that I realized I'm in this map now, and it's being created every single day around me as I keep taking these steps forward. I had no idea what the future might hold, but I was committed to the journey of learning, exploring, discovering, and growing as I tried to figure it out. And of course, I was starting to realize that life looked a lot more like this, the reality. Thankfully, I had a lot of experience in being down in the ditches and feeling like I had the biggest mountain ahead of me to climb, but not knowing how I was going to get there. All those years of climbing mountains and cycling cross countries had built this confidence in me, this voice that said, "You've got this. You're going to be okay." And there's one companion that's with me throughout my entire journey, and it's uncertainty. Now, this doesn't get stronger or weaker. It's with me every day. It's there to remind me, this is important. This is your life. This is your opportunity to create something that matters. We don't know what the future holds ahead of the Brexit. We don't know what the future holds for us. When I was 18 years old, my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer. Thankfully, she survived and she's in the audience today. But what that taught me was that if the most important person in my life could be taken away from me in the blink of an eye, then surely I had a responsibility to go out there, to live my life to the max, and see what I could create that could make a difference. And this brings me on to my third and final learning. And this one is about the voices in our heads. It's Ironman Wales, it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and I've been racing since 7 a.m. I've swum 2.4 miles, I've cycled 112 miles, and now I have to run a marathon, and there's a big, fat tear rolling down my cheek. Just the one. And I know why I'm crying. I'm crying because I feel like I'm at rock bottom, and I've got nothing left to give, but I still have to run this marathon. I've used every trick in the book. I've used every single key to unlock secret passages to doors of depths of motivation that normally work, and none of them have delivered. Yet I have to find a way to continue. So I go back to my mantra. I want to do this. I believe I can, and I trust that that will lead to I will. Now, this has been my journey to define and achieve my extraordinary, and each and every one of you will have yours. I told you a story about a girl who wanted to be on the board of directors of a technology startup by the age of 30. I'm 30 today, and I'm living the biggest honor of my entire life, standing on stage here at TEDx Liverpool. I never imagined this would be possible, and I know for sure it would not have happened if I didn't have the courage to cut myself loose of what was holding me back, to create my own map when I didn't know what the future held, and to quiet those voices in my head every time they tried to dampen my plans, my goals, and my ambitions. Now, I believe passionately in the benefits of positive change for each and every one of us, even when it seems like the scariest thing in the world. I'm not here to advocate, go quit your jobs and climb mountains. But what I am here to champion is this. I stopped looking to the world to tell me who I should be or what extraordinary feels like. And only then did I find it. Your journey to extraordinary is yours and yours alone to define and create. You've got one life, live it. Stay here. Thank you so much. Can I take a photo really quickly?
Sure.
Is that okay? Do you guys mind? I'm shaking so much. Oh, thank you for being such an amazing audience. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you.